What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, standard American guy here today on the internet to react and talk about and learn about Britain's shutting down. Why is this the summer of strikes? Now, this whole strikes, all these strikes, I had no idea about this. I usually really don't talk about current events or current news at all. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not aware of it. But today, randomly in my YouTube feed, my YouTube overlords saw fit to beam down a recommended video about train strikes in Britain. And I was like, what is this? Why am I not aware of this? Why do I not know this? And then I found this video, and it's about all sorts of strikes, or maybe some very specific strikes. I'm not sure. I think that's the whole point of this video, is for me to clear this all up, maybe learn a thing or two. But strikes, you know, when I think of strikes, I think of workers who are disgruntled, and strikes are usually meant to, you know, negotiate, or really past negotiating at this point if you're having a full-on worker strike, trying to get better pay, or it's usually about working conditions or something along those lines. The United States certainly has had its fair share of strikes, but I can't imagine train strikes, and if there's any other strikes going on, because that really seems quite significant, because it's affecting the infrastructure, the way you travel. That's kind of a big deal, right? Now in America, ask anybody, and you know, we're scared to even go 10 feet within a train or something. Half of us have never been in a train since we were 3 years old or something on vacation with our parents. And we've tucked it away in our memory and forgotten about it. We really don't use a lot of public transportation in America, which is probably not good. Everyone just uses their gas-powered car, or, you know, more modernly, more currently, electric-powered car. Kind of cool. But, no, that's not something that Americans really take part in, public transportation. So I'm interested, if there are train strikes, how much that's actually affecting the UK, and travel, and logistics, and all sorts of stuff. The implications go on, and I could go on and on and on, but I won't. Instead, let's watch the video, right?
After finally getting through the pandemic, it's fair to have assumed that the world would get back to some semblance of normality. That we could...
Yes, oh my gosh. That's not even the point of this video, but yes, we are all waiting desperately for the world just to be normal. Please, world, go back to normal. Go back to the way it was.
Go on holiday again. Go see friends around the country. Children could get back to school, and waiting times for hospitals could finally be reduced. However, it seems like there are a number of problems facing the country that are interrupting the return to normality. Okay. So, with strikes, an NHS crisis, and a cost of living crisis, it seems reasonable to ask, are we entering a summer of discontent?
Right. I think he's alluding to the cost of living going up, as well as all these strikes. Certainly the cost of living is a huge issue in America as well. Inflation, all that. We don't need to think about that for now. We need to think about strikes for now, if we can. Not that that isn't all terrible as well.
Now, the phrase summer of discontent is a deliberate reference to the 1979 winter of discontent, which has become a bit of a cultural reference point in British political history.
Okay, I didn't know that. I was kind of wondering, where'd they come up with this snappy title? Summer of Discontent. Wow, did they get the PR team out on this? But no, it's based off some kind of winter of discontent. Interesting.
Mid-1970s Britain was beset by a number of crises. Firstly, inflation was running at an eye-watering level, 26.9%. Secondly, in 1974, the UK had the three-day week imposed, whereby commercial electricity usage was limited to just 3 days to conserve energy.
What? Huh? Is this a thing? When was this?
Commercial electricity 74 level, 26.9%. Secondly, in 1974...
1974? Like, just under 50 years ago. Okay.
was limited to just 3 days to conserve energy.
That's wild.
TV companies were required to stop broadcasting at 10:30 p.m. and pubs had to close early. And thirdly, the UK
Not the
was in
pubs.
recession. The point is,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a good thing that right now, you know, in this modern day, you're being forced to draw comparisons to this winter of discontent. Like, you have all these horrors of the world going on in the past, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of like how it is now, somehow. I don't know. But history does repeat itself. I don't know if that's really applicable here. That's more of like a war and like government fall of civilization kind of philosophical tangent. But history repeats itself. I'll stick to it.
there were a lot of economic challenges. Successive governments tried, and failed, to get inflation under control, and by 1979, government authority had started to collapse. The government had imposed wage controls to try and stop a wage price spiral, promising that they would slowly revert back to free collective bargaining. While a transition to this had
very similar to America, and I mean very similar to what America is experiencing right now as well.
begun, the government had to introduce a 5% pay increase limit due to inflation not decreasing as much as they had hoped. Unions became frustrated, and the UK was soon faced with the largest strike since the 1926 general strike. In total, over 29 million working days were lost in the year. As a result of their loss of control, the Labour government lost a vote of no confidence and was subsequently faced with a Margaret Thatcher premiership. In 1984...
Wow. What a fascinating history. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of trolling before, but history kind of does repeat itself, huh?
Through the Trade Union Act, Thatcher required unions to hold a ballot of their members before agreeing to strike. Additionally, she also got rid of the closed shop system of trade union membership, which basically required employees to be a member of their relevant union. This legislation changed the UK's relationship with trade unions fundamentally, and following a further tightening of trade union legislation in 2016, which basically made striking harder, the number of strikes per year had fallen to an all-time low.
Yeah, I don't know what the UK's political landscape is really like very much, and I don't know their relationship to unions, but in America, unions are pretty typically seen, you know, as a positive thing, a way for workers to, like, represent themselves and bargain for better working conditions. It's generally seen as a good thing. The unions, and accepted by most of America, I would say. The only companies that would fight against having a union in this day and age would probably just argue that hopefully they have working conditions and benefit packages that are at such a good level, such a hospitable level, genuinely, that the workers don't need to unionize. That would be their argument that I've heard put forth.
It's not hard to see why either. The new legislation stripping unions of their power makes the act of striking less effective.
Oh. So I assume this act is still in effect. But you can try to strip power away from going on strike, but my God, striking, like, if the train strike is as bad as that recommended video thumbnail made it sound, I mean, I heard upwards of like 70% of railways or train systems were on strike and unavailable and causing massive, you know, backup and slow travel and all sorts of collateral damage that will just stem from that. I mean, yeah, it's wild.
It's important to consider then why so many industries are now striking. We've already seen the RMT go on strike, and it's quite possible that postal workers, teachers, nurses, and check-in staff will follow suit and cause a summer of discontent.
What? Whoa, wait. This is a big deal.
And and it's...
What's the RMT, by the way? RMT. 10? RMT? Now available. Madden, get out of here. Okay. RMT. Oh, National Union of Rail, Maritime, and Transit. Okay. Port workers. Got it. That's what we're talking about. Makes sense.
Quite possible that postal workers, teachers, nurses, and check-in staff will follow suit and cause a summer of discontent.
We're talking about the most fundamental industries necessary for civilized society. If that doesn't make it sound extreme enough, there you go. If a postal worker
and check-in staff will...
Healthcare? Yeah. I don't know how large of a threat of striking this actually currently is, since I'm not really on the pulse of, like, British news day by day. But that's scary, honestly. That would scare me. I don't know if there's plans being put in order already to address some of these issues. Maybe we should be, you know, talking and, like, working out some kind of deal with the unions or listening to what their grievances are. I don't know if their grievances just cannot be solved, or if the government is unwilling to work with them, or rather, or businesses, I should say, are unwilling to make compromises with the union's demands. But you can't. This is why you can't have disgruntled workers. You got to treat your workers well. Pay them what is their job is worth, hopefully. At times, you're kind of, you know, at the mercy of the market and what they'll pay for certain services. But hopefully, you know, I'm getting a little bogged down in the details here, but it's really quite interesting stuff when you start to think about it. But yeah, we don't want these kinds of services unavailable. I imagine Britain doesn't. And I wonder if there's been any kind of talks of settling this strike, or what that would look like.
Will follow suit and cause a summer of discontent. The particularly bad economic situation at the moment also almost certainly factors into the decision by the unions to strike. Real-term wages are going down, inflation is huge, and the government is refusing to intervene in wage disputes. Now more than any time in recent history, it makes sense for unions to try and wield their power to stop wage deflation.
Okay. So the government, as of this video, in August 2022, isn't really trying to step in and do anything. I don't know if the British government has kind of a hands-off kind of policy outlook, or if the people of UK, you could say, are wishing they would step in and do something. I don't know. So...
The thing is, though, strikes aren't the only thing threatening to slow the British economy this summer. We're also facing huge NHS waiting times and soaring energy prices. So let's start by looking at the NHS waiting times.
NHS. I'm sorry. What is that? NHS? Brennan, Google already knows what I'm looking for. He's like, this moron, we need to serve him all of the UK info stat. National Health Service. Yeah, this is heavy stuff.
Throughout the pandemic, NHS waiting times had started to creep up. And according to data that goes back to 2018, they actually peaked in June of this year. Considering that the NHS already had demand outstripping capacity before the pandemic, it's not hard to see why the institution has started to struggle. As the British Medical Association has argued, clearing this backlog isn't going to be a short task and will likely take years. So it's understandable that this summer is going to be tough.
Yeah, to put it lightly. Man, I like this narrator. Just casually reading off the worst things happening right now, and it's like, this could be bad. Who knows?
The waiting lists have not started to be brought down, and they're still at astronomical levels. What threatens to make this even worse is the fact that nurses are considering going on strike. They're concerned that their real-term pay is slipping due to pay rises being below inflation.
Yeah. I mean, that is a legitimate concern for everyone, right? That certainly is in America. there's no wage wage raise cap or anything like that. I don't think that would fly very well in America. That wouldn't go over well. So kind of everyone has just accepted that basically all of the working class people in America are getting a lower pay now. They're earning less because of inflation, because no one's getting a raise that outpaces inflation. So it's kind of the same problem.
And as such, nurses are being sent ballots starting on the 15th of September to decide whether they're going to go on strike.
Wow, that's only a month away until the nurses are going to vote if they go on strike. God, give them whatever they want. We can't have the nurses go on strike, right? This is just... That would be so fundamentally crippling to the healthcare system and hospitals and their ability to give treatment. Nurses are so fundamentally important that even the threat of strike, the threat of voting on strike, you would think would cause such a massive worry in the eyes of hospitals and businesses and the government that they would want to work with them to prevent that. And I'm sure the nurses don't want to go on strike. They want to work and do good work and help people. That's why they became nurses. They don't want that, but I understand them doing what they feel like they have to do to make a living, and because they're kind of getting screwed by inflation. So, yeah, a lot of kind of sensitive topics, if you will.
It's possible that such a strike will happen too, with a poll last year suggesting that 54% of nurses backed strike action over their 3% pay award during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
With a significantly worse economic situation right now, it's entirely possible that we'll see such a strike occur.
Wow. It's probable? Does the average British citizen acknowledge this? Accept this? Or, I mean, I could imagine this happening in America, and it's really something that's out of your control, right? That's a better way of phrasing it. I'm trying to be a little dramatic, but if I put myself in the same situation, the average U.S. citizen in the same position would probably feel quite powerless and like they wish someone with the ability to do something would do something and not let the nurses become so disgruntled and feel like they've been forced into a position where they have to strike in order to get their needs met. Something like that.
Obviously not help with waiting times at all, and could certainly contribute to the sense of crisis surrounding this summer.
Yeah.
Anyway, while Brits have been worried about the summer, unfortunately things aren't expected to get much better over the winter months. We are, of course, moving on to talk about the energy price cap. As we've already talked about on the channel, the energy price cap was brought in a few years ago to nominally cap energy prices. The problem being that it was never really designed for a sustained explosion in wholesale energy prices. All in all, meaning that the price cap is now expected to climb at truly astronomical rates over the next few months. According to projections by Cornwall Insight, the energy cap is set to spike from the current figure, just shy of £2,000, to nearly £3,600 come October, before spiking again in January to £4,250 plus. Separate projections by the energy consultancy Auxilione forecast the energy price cap to hit I
don't know why I'm saying wild so much today. For those of you watching, wild is not some kind of super hip American slang that's back in fashion. It's just, I'm bringing it back. Isn't that wild?
A staggering £5,000 in the second quarter of 2023. That would be over 4 times the energy price cap prior to the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah.
The confluence of strikes, huge NHS waiting times, and soaring energy bills paints a pretty bleak picture for the next few weeks and months for the UK.
A pretty bleak picture, to say the least. You know, what's crazy is that Americans aren't even aware of this. We're too busy worrying about our own skin, worrying about our own butts. Pardon my language, but no. I've mentioned this before in a lot of videos that the U.S. is first and foremost, especially, their citizens, are usually just concerned with local problems, news, urgencies. So I wasn't even really aware at all about this madness going on in the UK and what exactly is at stake and what's already happening. Honestly, I feel pretty, relatively okay in my current position in the US. Like, we're not teetering on the brink of emergency, but all this, if this is being presented to me correctly and accurately, if I go on this, it would be very alarming to me. Very scary, honestly. Is that a appropriate reaction? Am I on track here? Am I assessing this correctly? Should I say? I'm trying to keep a level head, but I'm getting secondhand stress over this. You could ask any American about any of this, what's going on, and they would have no clue. It's only thanks to that random video I saw today on YouTube mentioning train strikes that I even knew about this.
Something that can be seen when looking at economic optimism among Brits. According to the Ipsos Economic Optimism Index, which measures the share of people who think the economy will improve in the next 12 months, minus the share of people who think it will get worse, the UK is currently in the same position as that immediately after the collapse of Lehman Brothers, with the index recording negative 60.
Lehman Brothers? The collapse of Lehman Brothers? What is this? Lehman Brothers? Investment banking company? Okay. It's well, that's all I gotta really know. That it's a investment finance company that collapsed. Which is a big deal.
I.e., just 20% said the economy will improve, and a staggering 80% said it'll get worse.
Okay, so the public sentiment is pretty much in alignment with what I'm thinking. 80% of people think that things are going to get worse before they get better.
It seems that, unfortunately, this summer, and potentially this winter too, may be a repeat of the winter of discontent. Without government intervention, things look to get pretty tough indeed. Pretty bleak, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you want to cheer yourself up, then how about streaming something a little happier? But if you want access to a whole world of content, the only way to do that is with a VPN.
Okay, that's the end of the video. Okay, that got me up to speed in more ways than I ever could have imagined. Oh my gosh. I was hoping to watch this mostly to become informed and to learn about the train strikes, which this video didn't really talk about, but I can learn more about that later. I went into this just kind of hoping to be informed on the current situation, look from afar, analyze, assess, and now I just feel bad. I just feel sad, that there's so many people in so many different kind of desperate positions. The people who feel like they have to go on strike, the workers who feel like they're not being represented and their needs aren't being met, the citizens of the UK who are having to suffer as a result of the different strikes of all the fundamental cornerstones of society affecting travel and the post office maybe, and health and nurses maybe. It's a very uncertain time. I can see why a lot of people are not sure about what the future holds. But all I know about the future is that the future holds more reaction videos. How's that for a transition for UK British content? So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, looking at different UK themes and culture and maybe news like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.